Alright guys, we're trying to learn how to look at groups when we're sight reading. Okay, not just to see one note at a time. Way back when I was an awful, terrible sight reader, the worst, could play anything, but as far as sight reading goes, I was awful. I used to see one note at a time and move on to the next one, move on to the next one. But we want to learn how to see groups. Good sight readers always see groups of notes. Kind of like if you see a word, you see the whole word at once. You see all the letters together making a word. You don't sound it out like you did when you were a kid. All right? Same thing. Look at each group of four as a word. Okay? So when we start with left hand, we see the bass note. Now, I'm kind of starting in the middle of my lessons here. If you're not really familiar with bass clef or treble clef, you need to check out my website, webpianoteacher.com. I'll start from the very beginning. We start learning what the names of the notes are and where they are on the keyboard and really learning them. But if you're at that point, then we can continue on here to see groups. We start with an F on the bass, and then we see the highest note in the group is a D. Now, your eyes should just see the whole measure there, the whole cluster of notes, the lowest note and the highest note. Go ahead and get your hand in position for that whole group, and then play it. F, A, C, D. Okay, hopefully without looking down and checking. Every time you look down, remember that interrupts that chain from page to eye to keyboard that we want to just keep going. Then we go to treble clef. Now the reason I'm only doing 4 and going to treble clef is because a lot of us have trouble differentiating between the treble and the bass. A lot of people see the bass clef as a treble clef until they can flip it over in their mind. So we're practicing that flip from bass to treble so that you will see the treble staff always one way and to see the bass staff always is one way, okay? So that's why we're going back and forth here. That's the thinking behind it. We start here on the right hand. We have the highest note and the lowest note. We see an E and then an E up here. Alright, then we have B and A in the middle. So see the whole measure, the whole cluster of notes as a group, and then we play it. Alright, same thing on the next measure. See the whole group. Don't think, oh, B, and then E, and then F, and then C. See the whole group. B is the highest note in the group, C is the lowest note in the group. Okay? When you're playing real music, sometimes the group will be just half of a measure or a fourth of the measure, and that's fine. But you have to see more than one note at a time. You have to kind of gather it all in, take it all in, that whole group at once. And do the same thing up here. You can see the whole group. And you can do that for each of these measures here. Try to see the whole note as a group. Left hand and then right hand. Try to stay at a slow metronomic tempo. Maybe 60 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now on the website when we practice these, the 5 videos I've just put up, I just added 5 new videos on how to sight read and how to see groups. I give you all my tricks and what's going through my mind and ways to help you to see groups. I do all that on the website. I also include backing tracks. I play the piano along with this while you're playing this so it sounds like something, because this is not a song. These are arbitrary notes, arbitrary random notes, because we don't want your ear to get too involved yet, because if your ear gets in there, we get into that pattern of ear and memorization, and then you're not reading it anymore. Okay? We don't want to do that. We want to read it so it's something that's just random so that you can just read the spots off the page, as I call it, and not let that ear get in there. Because as soon as that ear gets in there, the eyes shut and we fall asleep and we're not reading anymore. We want to read, so that's why these notes are arbitrary. Okay, but I'll play backing tracks with you. Kind of jazzy chords that go along with these random notes to help you do that. But anyway, the lesson here, if you're not a member on the website and you can't afford it, I understand that, and you want to just work on your own, here's this is kind of giving you the concept, and you can try on your own to proceed with that. But see groups. See the highest and lowest note in a group. Try to put that pinky on the highest note in the group and the thumb on the lowest note in the group. Alright? And then play. See the group. And again, the switching back and forth between treble and bass is for you to get that flip going between treble and bass and not have to do them at the same time yet. We'll get to that. We'll get to chords. We'll get to scale patterns. and we'll get to where we're playing both hands at the same time. We'll get to rhythmic patterns, and we'll get to all that stuff, but one thing at a time, okay? One thing built upon another thing will give us the foundation for being a good sight reader. All right, so there's the gist of this lesson of seeing groups and sight reading. I hope you enjoy it.